Odlično, pozdravljeni. Pozdravljeni na otvoritvi razstave Ženske v matematiki skozi Evropo. To je razstava matematičark iz različnih evropskih držav, s katerimi so avtorice razstave naredile intervju in fotografije v njihovem naravnem profesionalnem prostoru. Razstavo se organiziramo z Društvom matematikov, fizikov in astronomov Slovenije in zdaj besedo predajam Marjeti Kramer-Fijavž, ki je v imenu DMFA soorganizatorka razstave.
Hvala, Jovana. Pozdravljeni. Povem mogoče na začetku par besed o tej razstavi. Večji del razstave je originalno izvira iz leta 2016, ko je bil kongres evropskih matematikov v Berlinu in ta namen sta avtorici matematičarka Silvi Pajša in fotografinja Noel Matov pripravili intervjuje s 13 matematičarkami in poleg intervjujev, poleg tega, kar se tukaj vidi na slikah, je zraven še en katalog, ki je tukaj viden, ki je še veliko več, ker vsebuje res izčrpen intervju z vsako od protagonistk, kjer spoznamo njihove življenjsko zgodbo, njihovo pot do tiste pozicije, ki jo trenutno imajo. In jaz sem to razstavo videla takrat na kongresu v Berlinu leta 2016, moram reči, da me je zelo navdušila, so me te zgodbe pritegnile, ker pač v matematiki, v raziskovalni matematiki je zelo malo žensk in nekako sem se našla v marsikateri od teh zgodb, tako da mi je to kar nekaj pomenilo. Potem je bila pa ideja, ker je bil naslednji Evropski matematični kongres, bi moral biti leta 2020 v Portorožu, zaradi pandemije je bil 2021 potem predstavljen. In ko so se bile ideje, kaj bi pripravili kot spremljevalne dogodke k temu kongresu, je bila tudi ena ideja, da bi to razstavo prikazali, nekako smo hoteli še nekaj več, ne samo prikazati razstavo, ki je že bila. Tako da smo v sodelovanju z avtoricama originalne razstave potem pripravili še 7 novih intervjujev in sicer smo zraven potegnili ženske iz našega okolja, se pravi iz Slovenije, Hrvaške, mediteranskih držav. In v ta namen, takrat nam je zelo pomagala tudi Dušanka Perišić, ki je današnja gostja iz Srbije, ki je imela zelo veliko kontaktov v okviru European Human Mathematics in nam je svetovala, vzpostavila kontakte. Potem sva z Jasno Prezelj, ki je tudi tukaj prisotna iz Univerze v Ljubljani in Univerze na Primorskem, skupaj z DMFA organizirali eno konferenco na Bledu leta 2019, ravno še pred pandemijo, da se je še dalo, kamor smo povabili vse te protagonistke in fotografinjo in Silvi Pajša, ki je intervjuvala, in tam je bila taka majhna konferenca, kjer so matematične predavanja imele, predstavljali svoje delo, hkrati pa so bili te intervjuji opravljeni in slikanje je bilo. Moramo se zahvaliti tudi Blejski osnovni šoli za table. Kot vidite, so table zelo pomembne, sestavina slik. Tako da, potem pa je razstava v tej obliki, kot je zdaj, prvič predstavljena lani v Kopru, maja, in je bila tam na ogled en mesec, kot spremljevalni dogodek Evropskega matematičnega kongresa. Gostovala je tudi že v Novi Gorici, zdaj zelo vesela, da je v Ljubljani, upam, da bo še kje, pa da bo koga kaj ima navdušila in spodbudila k razmisleku. Hvala vsem in hvala tudi Jovani za to organizacijo.
Hvala. Naj še povem nekaj v imenu gostitelja razstave, torej ZRC SAZU se v bistvu že leta posveča promociji žensk v znanosti oziroma izpostavljanju in raziskovalnega dela žensk, posebej v vedah, v katerih so ženske manj zastopane. Odločili smo se s to razstavo tudi obeležiti mednarodni dan deklic in deklet in žensk v znanosti. Posebej, torej, kot se bomo verjetno tega dotaknili med pogovorom, Angleški naziv je International Day of Girls and Women in Science. Mi to prevajamo v znanosti, kar je pri nas širši pojem, v angleščini pa je to predvsem, ko se reče science, se misli na naravoslovje. In prav v teh vedah pa je ženska, kot se bomo o tem pogovarjali, bistveno manj. Posebej na izpostavljenih prestižnih mestih, kot so mesta profesoric na univerzi. Zaradi tega je pomembno izpostavljati ženske in govoriti o tem problemu in o tem se bomo danes pogovorili. Jaz bom zdaj prešla na drugi mikrofon. Torej, danes odpiramo razstavo o ženskah v matematiki z okroglo mizo istega naslova in imamo naše gostje danes so v bistvu osebe, ki se nahajajo ki so portretiranke na razstavi, ki jo imamo danes. To je po vrstnem redu sedenja prof.dr. Neža Mramor Kosta, ki je članica Društva matematikov, fizikov in astronomov, je upokojena profesorica matematike, poučevala pa je na Fakulteti za računalništvo in informatiko Univerze v Ljubljani ter na Fakulteti za naravoslovje Univerze v Novi Gorici. Doktorirala je v Ljubljani, eno leto podoktorskega študija preživela v ZDA in postala prva redna profesorica za področje matematike v Sloveniji šele leta 2009. To v bistvu, ko sem rekla šele, ni namenjeno vaši karieri, ampak v bistvu to je ilustrativen podatek o tem, koliko je malo danes še vedno rednih profesoric matematike. Danes jih je v Sloveniji 3.
Mislim, da 3 vsega skupaj, na področju matematike.
Ja. Ali se ta številka povečuje ali zmanjšuje, se bomo tudi kasneje pogovarjali med pogovorom. Naslednja na vrsti je prof.dr. Blaženka Divjak, ki je redna profesorica na področju matematike in dela na Univerzi v Zagrebu, na Fakulteti za organizacije in informatiko, ki se nahaja v Varaždinu. Je tudi izobraževanje končala na Univerzi v Zagrebu in je imela izkušnje kot prodekanja in prorektorica, pa tudi kot ministrica za znanost in izobraževanje v vladi Republike Hrvaške. In na koncu prof.dr. Dušanka Perišić, ki je tudi redna profesorica na Univerzi v Novem Sadu, na departmanu za matematiko in informatiko naravoslovno-matematične fakultete Univerze v Novem Sadu. Tudi je bila prodekanja in tudi aktivna članica Evropskega društva za ženske v matematiki, ki je v bistvu skrbnik eden od skrbnikov razstave. Imeli smo kar dolgo debato, v katerem jeziku naj bi se pogovarjali. Naša inicialna komunikacija je bila v neki mešanci naših jezikov, vsak je govoril svoj jezik in smo imeli inicialno namen tudi na ta način se pogovarjati danes, ker menimo, da se dovolj razumemo, ampak ker upamo, da ker je ta dogodek tudi namenjen mlajši generaciji, smo se na koncu odločili, da v bistvu vsebinski del pogovora imamo v angleščini, ker si želimo, da bi v bistvu mladi ljudje slišali to, o čem se danes pogovarjamo in razumeli. Let's start the discussion, maybe with the generic question, and that is, why do you think that we need exhibitions like this? Why is it important to speak about women in mathematics, and why it is important that such exhibitions are traveling around Europe and are inspiring us? Blaženka.
Najprije vas sve pozdravljam. Ja inače dobro razumijem slovenski, tako da meni nije uopće problem slušati, razumjeti sve. Ja sam sada bez problema zapravo pratila cijeli ovaj uvod. Međutim, moj govor na slovenskom mislim da bi izazvao dosta smijeha, tako da neću govoriti slovenski, pa ću se prebaciti zapravo u engleski, kao što smo se i dogovorili, ali evo, prije svega hvala vam puno na pozivu, hvala vam puno na prilici da o ovoj važnoj temi govorimo. So I think it's really important to talk about women and girls in science, because it is a kind of a rising awareness that girls and women in science are still underrepresented and overlooked very often. Even though we are sometimes thought that we have developed quite rapidly in last several decades, but still, if you look at the statistical data, we can notice that in mathematics there are much more men than women, and especially if you look at the higher positions at the universities. So professors that are full professors and chairs and deans, and those that are actually streamlining the policy and the politics. So this glass ceiling in mathematics, it's still very, very tough for all of us, and that's certainly one perspective we should take and think about it. And then another one, that still in society it's not so, let's say, well accepted that girls try to find career in mathematics, and sometimes even us that in mathematics or in natural sciences or technical sciences sometimes advise our daughters or friends to try to find easier way in life. So it's time to really be very clear about it and say that it is open to everyone, especially because if you take a career in mathematics, then it is something that it's not just mathematics, pure mathematics for whole your life, but there are variety of careers you can choose. And you can see around when you look at all these stories that are behind the faces and formulas at the exhibition that actually there are 20 different careers for the 20 different mathematicians here. So I'm really happy that we can discuss about it.
So in a way, the stereotype that mathematics is somehow a man's field is also a self-fulfilling prophecy, because the stereotype is also excluding girls from changing the stereotype.
That's right. That's right. Because when you are, for example, in primary schools, then if you're a girl, then it's expected for you that you are much better in languages and some social sciences, for example, or humanities, but not so much in mathematics. And if a girl is failing or lagging behind mathematics, usually people are saying, yeah, because that's normal. She's a girl, so but it's not. Yeah. So we try to prove differently.
Yeah. So, Dušanka, maybe you could share with us what are your personal impressions when you look at these portraits, this exhibition? What stays with you?
Yeah, I will answer that question, but before that, I would like to tell you how this exhibition started. It was just a personal pet project. Sylvie Peisha, who made that interviews, and her friend makes pictures, he told me, I would like to make a lecture and to represent a friend of mine. And she called 13 of us, and at the very beginning it was just a list of questions we answered by email. She sent it, she accepted it, and talked 13 different stories at her lecture. But it was well accepted, and then she started this. And when you look the pictures, you will see completely different story. When you go to some scientific institutions, you have the pictures of very serious, usually men, who made that picture just for that occasion, to be very serious. But here you see more than that. All of us are friends, and or friend of a friend, and if you read the interviews, you will see that we have told much more than we would usually tell. The truth is that academic path is not very easy, but there are no easy paths to anywhere. And when you see here, you see brilliant careers, you see careers of university professor at regional universities, you see some story about some policymakers, and all of us are telling our story, are telling the story to a friend. Mm-hmm. So I like the pictures. You will see friendly faces who will tell you the truth. Not it is easy, you can come and everything will be solved. There are obstacles, it can be overcome. And each of us has, on the question, do you regret anything? None of us has answered, yeah, I regret choosing mathematics as a path. So I invite you to see the pictures, to see our stories, and everybody is welcome, not just female students, but everybody who would like to have life and career. It is possible, and you have the proof for that. Yeah.
My impression was that also the way that photographs were done was in a way intention to deconstruct this image, this traditional image that we have of science and a scientist. A scientist, as you said, is somebody who has authority, who is and these are all images that were created with men in mind. And but what I see in these pictures is also a different attitude towards doing sciences as something that is much more interconnected with personal life. And I think this is the way that maybe we should talk about academic careers, not only as professional careers, but as life paths. Yeah. Just to give information regarding the catalog, it is very interesting. It has many more photographs than the one that are only on the exhibition. They are more dynamic, but the interviews are very personal. And I believe that the catalog is freely available online, or it can be ordered from. It can be ordered from. Yes. So in the invitation for today's event is the link for a webpage for exhibition, and there anybody can order the catalog, which is very engaging thing to read, I believe. So it seems that women are still a minority in the field of mathematics, especially when we look at researchers, professors, people working in academia. Is it still a stereotype that if women are studying mathematics, they are studying in order to predominantly become a teacher in school? Is this a stereotype that you think still holds? And what is this ratio between the number of female students in mathematics and the number of female professors in mathematics? Neža,
okay,
please.
So let me try to answer, but not with numbers, but with general impressions. So definitely among researchers, there are few mathematicians. Maybe this is not true for the whole world. I think there are countries in the world where women are more strongly presented in research in mathematics than, for example, in our countries around here. I think, for example, Italy is such an example, and some South American countries. But here, women are certainly underrepresented in mathematical research, which is of course a pity, but luckily I must say that this is changing. So when I was studying, none of my professors was a mathematician.
Yes, same with me.
In the classrooms that I went to later on during my doctoral studies, was often the only woman, so this was really quite a lonely position at that time. But now this is different. There are quite a few women at the department. It's true that there are only 3 full professors right now at the university, well, not throughout Slovenia, but I think the number will increase shortly because there are a lot of very, very good, productive mathematical researchers who are women now in Slovenia. So I'm very happy to say that this is changing. Concerning the number of girls studying mathematics, it's been about half-half ever since I know, ever since I enrolled into the studies, and also now it's about 50-50, 50% girls, 50% boys. But this changes dramatically through the stages. So when you come to the master's level, there are fewer girls. At the doctoral level, there are quite a few. And if you look at the situation among the professors, as we've mentioned several times, it's, one would say, dramatic, if you would want to stress this. Concerning this question that you asked, is it like a stereotype that a girl who studies math is going to become a teacher? I would say that this is not true anymore. Maybe it was true before, because there are many, among mathematics teachers, mostly girls, women. But I think now that girls who come to study mathematics also see that there are other possibilities. You have a lot of possibilities in computer science, in data analysis, in all sorts of fields, not only technical, but also humanities and social sciences. So I think that girls now that come to study mathematics really see this possibility of doing all sorts of jobs as a mathematician, and I'm very happy to see that. So today in Slovenia we have this informative day for future students at the university and also at high schools. And I would be really happy if some of the girls who are deciding on their career in the future would come and take a look at this exhibition, because mostly I see this like, role models. You see here a lot of women who maybe... so one point in this exhibition is that there are, of course, wonderful, very, very good mathematicians among these ladies who are portrayed, but not everybody is a high-class researcher. There are also just mathematicians among them, and it's, I think, important for girls who are coming to deciding on their profession to see that, okay, I can come and study mathematics, I can be brilliant, but also I can just like mathematics, maybe love it, maybe share my love for mathematics with others. So I think that's a very important point when we want to attract girls to mathematics.
Yeah, I think that very often when we speak about women in science, we are speaking about very, very exceptional figures like Marie Curie and so on. But if you have such a high standard of icon or a figure, then it seems almost unattainable. I think I like what you said, that it is something that we should show that it's, being a scientist, being a mathematician is an ordinary profession. But the problem is that at the moment it is still gendered in certain way.
Yes, I think that it scares girls away a little bit, this idea that if you want to be a mathematician researcher, you have to be brilliant. I think it's a little bit, a moment which maybe keeps some girls away from the profession, which is really a pity because
even
it's not necessary.
Brilliant students.
Yes.
Even brilliant students who can, female students who can make excellent careers, have doubts about that. And that's important. They will just jump into the water and be brilliant, but they would like to have some security. Just, if I'm not brilliant, what will happen? If you're not brilliant, you can have good career as well.
Yeah. And do you think that academic career is becoming a more insecure field? When we were having a coffee before, you mentioned that on contrary, you noticed that there has been a change in the last few decades with this dethroning of the professor position and the position of being university professor. You mentioned something along the lines that that your impression was that there is actually, at least at University of Belgrade and Novi Sad, where you're familiar with the situation, that there are less female professors, full professors, than it used to be.
Yeah.
But of course, being full professor is the highest position. So would you comment something about that, about the nature of the profession?
The situation in my countries was a bit different. When I studied, there was half female and half male professors.
You mean among the professors?
Among the professors.
At the university?
Yeah, at the university, among assistants as well.
Because it's similar.
But it became harder and harder to go through that academic career. And there are less and less females. I think, let me give we have many changes in our country, so you cannot say what made that difference. But consider the situation in Germany, where they have stable situation for many years. If you are a full professor in Germany, it's extremely difficult to get position. And it is very prestigious, and it is extremely difficult to get position. If you are female, it's much more difficult. I think that one of the reasons is that female candidates just don't feel that they will get the position, so they do not apply. Mm-hmm. And what has changed in Europe in the last decades, they invite people to apply. And then some female candidates say, okay, I will try, and I know many of them who got that very, very prestigious position. So this is invitation. Mm-hmm. You should try. I don't say that there are no male candidates who have doubts, but I think on average, it's more often in female population. They will say, oh, if I'm not brilliant. And I know many brilliant students who think, oh, if I'm not brilliant. Yeah. So I think that is important to get invitation, and things has changed in many countries, and if the position is more prestigious, you will see less female applications for that position. But if they are invited in some ways, not promising them they will get, then you will get more candidates, and we will see much more female professors, even on that extremely prestigious positions.
Yeah. Blaženka, did you want to add something? I had impression, or...
Yeah, I'm just reflecting on what Neža and Dušanka said, and I agree with you, Neža. When I was studying, there were no professor of mathematics at University of Zagreb at the Faculty of Natural Sciences and Mathematics, so nobody. Just a few assistants, female assistants, but no professors. Now the things are changing, so we have more and more professors, female professors at the whole university. When you look at the mathematics, not just at the Department of Mathematics, but I think that it depends very much on a system. If you have a really fair system, and if you really promote equal opportunities, not just say, okay, we are for equal opportunities, but
there is no female candidates.
Yeah, there is no female candidates. So that's not something like, but to invite, to ensure some, let's say, benefits for women when they are coming, because we know that unfortunately we still are at the position in this part of the world that the most female also have some other obligations like family and biological part. It's like having children, so it means that you are lagging behind for several years if you have a few children. You just couldn't say it is not that we can put apart and say it didn't happen, because it did. And so we should think about it, how to promote it, and how not to put at the first place competition. Because when you said mathematics, most of the people think about competing in knowing, in solving, on Olympiads, on something that is on one hand side very competitive, on the other it is just for a few people, just chosen one. So it is not like that. So we are very, I would say that among us, I think that we are very normal and ordinary. And all these people around the room, we can see that these women, we are smiling, we're having, our life stories, we have our life paths, not just professional path as well. And we try to open doors for other women to come, not because it is some kind of a, let's say, some kind of a thing that it is feminist stuff, but it is for the development. If we are just putting half of population aside and not to have equal opportunities for science and especially technology or some interdisciplinary stuff, we are lagging behind, to be honest. You couldn't say you have just half of the population with less rights or less opportunities or less, let's say, encouragement in all fields. We couldn't do that. If we are behaving like that, then we are lagging behind as a country, as a region, as Europe, as European Union, and so on. So I think that we should be very clear. Mathematics is not just competition in doing mathematics. It's also a lot of collaboration. It's a lot of interdisciplinary work, and there are the variety of careers you can take as a mathematician. Because studying mathematics and having some academic career in mathematics doesn't mean that you are going to be in front of the blackboard the whole your life. You can have a lot of research projects, a lot of because mathematics it's a good basis for, because it is a logical. It gives you some kind of a good framework for decision making, structural thinking, algorithmical way of problem solving, but also creativity. And it is something that we can use in different fields as well. So I think
if I may, I would just like to comment one or two more things about this particular exhibition here. So one element which appears in practically all the interviews, if you look at them in the book, is that I think that most of these women have families, and they're all very proud of the fact that they do have them and of the families themselves. So this is no problem at all. You can easily have a family and be a woman doing research in mathematics. Of course, I mean, when I said no problem, maybe that was overstating things a little bit. It is a bit of a problem. Yes, but you can do it. As you can see, this can be done. So another thing that I would like to comment concerning this interviews that are associated to these portraits is that all of these, in practically all of these portraits, the women sort of expressed at some point that they were not so sure of themselves, you know, they're not so self-confident. And so this is, I think, a property of women which also sometimes drives them away from these jobs which appear to be demanding in a way, probably they are. And then if you're not so sure of yourself, and you know, like your male colleagues, they always, I mean, they on the average, not always, think, oh, I'm really good, I can do this, but you're always doubting, can I do it or not, am I good enough for that? I think this is a common topic which appears in most of the interviews, and I was sort of really excited to see that, because I saw, you know, okay, everybody feels like me, great.
I'm not the only one, yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually this special feeling. I remember when I was applying for, actually was accepted to study mathematics, and my first day at the faculty building there, they were at that time more male students than female students. Let's say half and half when we talk about students that would like to become a teacher, teachers of mathematics, but in research field it's different. But I remember this feeling that I was in this entrance hall and look around, and I said to myself, all these people here are much more clever than you are. But I think that it is some kind of experience that a lot of us had at the beginning of our study or later in our career. But we should we should say it aloud, that it is normal to feel like that. But it is also normal that if I look at Dušanka, I said probably Dušanka felt the same, so we can share it, and we can share with the girls that would like to enter this profession as well, and say, yeah, of course we felt the same. And sometimes even today I felt a little bit, I really felt humble when I took this book and say, oh, I'm probably intruder in there, all these women.
The imposter syndrome
but it is
typical for academic profession, but specifically typical for women.
For women, yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree. I agree, but I also know majority, personally know majority of those people who were on the pictures. And they have doubts, and then they say, okay, I will deal with that. I will do that. And sometimes when you are overconfident, it may make you made mistake. So if you have doubts, that's okay. You should just try and do it. It's a very nice profession. I've had many beautiful moments in my career. I think that it's worth trying, and I think you mentioned system. Yeah, I think that system should be more family friendly, not just for females, but for males as well. Life is one, so we should try to make good mathematics, but also have opportunity to live, and it is possible. It is not always easy. It is important to have a network of people who are in the same situation, who can help you by advice or by just listening to you and say it will pass or say nothing. But it is important to have friends, and if you look at those pictures and go through the small booklet, you will find, is it 20 now? 20 good friends who will tell you the truth. So I like this exhibition, and I'm happy that I accepted to be portraited, even though I also thought, oh, should I be there? So this exhibition is just, consider it as an invitation to have a chat with good friends, and then go and join students at the Faculty of Mathematics at the University of Ljubljana. So we will see next year many, many good female mathematicians.
Hopefully.
I think you touched upon several really important subjects, so I would just like to underline them now. I think one thing is that you touched upon this fear, imposter syndrome, fear whether I'm good enough, fear of failing, or insecurity. And maybe this is important to inform how we reshape the image of science in society, not just as a string of successes, not just as a linear career where an excellent student becomes an excellent teaching assistant and an excellent professor and so forth. But this is a bumpy road in itself, and maybe even more for women, or should we say for people who have private lives, where they care about other people, be it elderly parents or children. So people who have multidimensional life, who have hobbies, who travel not just for work but also because of love, who decide to
cook because to enjoy it.
To enjoy it, not just because they need to feed somebody. Exactly. So maybe these are all important things to open up, because the system, academic system as it was traditionally built, it was built for a person who is just there to think, as if some other people, wives, mothers, servants, are going to do all the rest of the life, the servicing of life. So what was your maybe impression, and I'm going to ask you not necessarily as a woman, but as persons with private lives. How did you felt maybe that your personal career path maybe differed from something that was considered as a standard success path, which is usually male? So the traditional question would be, how do you think your career differed from your male counterparts? But exactly because we want to sort of not talk about, male-female, sex difference, but rather difference in having different social roles. What do you feel, what was your personal experience when you look back now at your career as you had it?
Should I start?
Yeah. Okay. As the one with the longest path behind her.
I will improvise. No, I wouldn't. So I would like to say, well, Slovenia is a small country, so things get around. So I would like to say that during my career in working with people, I found a lot of very good friends also. So my personal life and my career were not totally separated, which is really, really nice. For example, I like to go to the mountains like most Slovenians, and my PhD advisor also likes to go to the mountains. And so he organized this group of people who would go we had this seminar, which was called after one of the mountains in Slovenia, Topolbauški seminar. So we would go, all these mathematicians, together to the mountains twice a year, or maybe even more times, sometimes 10 times a year. So it was like, we all became really good friends, and this love for mountains was united with our mathematical careers. And so that was really, really nice. So I would say that you can, of course, combine your career with having friends and, having good joint interests and joint family, friendships and so on. So I think that's really nice. And I think it's typical for men, for women, for almost any profession. Maybe not all of them, but for a lot of them. So. I don't know if this was an answer to your question, but
it's a very nice picture.
Yeah, maybe, what were the bumps on the road? Maybe, is it more challenging, I don't know, to have a baby early on and be on maternity leave while you're doing your PhD? Or is it maybe challenging more, the kids are, we will, figure out them, but it's, maybe it's more challenging when kids grow up and they need a different kind of attention, and when you want to do not only science but be, for instance, politically active, and then how do you feel? What is your personal experience? What are the gains? It is clear that there are gains both in private and professional life, but I'm just thinking whether some of your personal experiences and decisions made you, in a way, presented a problem for you in succeeding, in this typical academic path.
So I must say that it is difficult to come back to serious mathematical research after having children and being away for some time. I had 2 children relatively quickly, one after the other, which meant quite a few years of not really having time because there were these babies at home, and of course as a mother you typically, not necessarily, but typically spend more time with them. So that was very, very difficult for me. So that was like a big bump. Coming back to mathematics, to serious research work after having these children, as they were growing, it became easier, of course, because they became independent. They also, they were nice kids, wonderful actually, so that was not such a big problem. Of course, there were always bumps. You have successes and you have things which make you wonder, should I quit and do something else altogether? But, I think that's true for any profession, so I wouldn't say that this is specifically special for women in science.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was actually reflecting when you've been describing your career, and especially the start of your career. I would like to mention one other I think it was very important for me because I was a first generation student in my family. So I'm going to university as a first in my family. So I expected myself to be successful, to finish my study on time, not to burden my parents because they should provide for me, and they were not very rich, or it was 1980s, the second half of the 1980s. So it was different. So I expected from myself, and actually I think that the family also expected from me to be successful, to be on time, and for them to be proud of me in some way, yeah. And then after that, I was very fast finishing my studies and everything, so it was okay for that part. But it was difficult afterwards to allow myself to fail sometimes, because probably it is a combination, being a woman and being the first generation student in a family, that you are rather strict to yourself. So you have the schedule, have to fulfill the goals and so on. And yeah, you're right, it is very demanding to have all this, on your table, to be a successful mathematician, to have PhD, to publish, to teach, and then to have a family, children, or of course to be friendly and to have connections with
social
all of us
life.
would like to have, with parents, with friends, hobbies and everything. So it means that sometimes, I remember now it's easier because I accepted that there is no point to ask yourself to be the best in all these fields. So you just have to enjoy your life, yeah? But it's easier when you are in your 50s when comparing to when you are younger and expected to have everything at the same level of success. That's not possible, and it's not something that it means that you should choose, but you should balance. You should balance. So sometimes when I have to say that I always try to put my family first, because I really cherish this humanity, and that we should first of all be a person that other people and yourself as well are happy to be with, not to hate yourself because of that. That's it. And then at the same time try to balance it with my professional life. And sometimes it came out really beautifully, because you can work on something, then you can share with your family, not actually the calculations, but the feeling, by the people you met at some new places around the world, or read about and so on. So I think this balance is very, very important, and also to accept that there is no point asking from nobody, but also from yourself, expecting to be equally successful at everything. So we can fail, okay? And sometimes failing is not disaster. Sometimes failing is another opportunity to reflect on your work, on your position, or on your vision, on what you would like to change and to make an impact in your life. So it's not just, and that's one of the reasons I actually accepted to have some leadership role as well, not just to be a mathematician, because you can have higher impact if you are visible, or if you can move some things in some ways.
So,
Sorry, may I?
yes, please.
So Blaženka and Neža opened 2 huge chapters. First chapter is the question about advisor. And everybody who enter academic career, especially in Europe, Slovenia is a small country, but Europe is not so big as we would like to
You're right.
be. has to be aware of the fact that it is extremely important to have good advisor, not just scientifically, but the person who knows that you should live, you should be person. Yes. It makes much more things extremely difficult or very, very easy. Yeah, that's having good advisor. It's a huge chapter. It is extremely important, and it is not always clear how to get one. Then Blaženka mentioned, I decided to take some part. You know, at some point of life, you realize, whatever I've done in science, I've done. Maybe I will just have few other papers, doing some small advantages, but now it's time to give to other people. Yeah. Now it's time to be, if not scientific advisor, to be advisor, career advisor. It is also important. And that is very important. You mentioned system approach to not just to support female mathematicians, but everybody. You just say, okay, take care. You should know that in this period of your career, it is important to publish, or it is not important to publish in this or this paper. Rest a bit, or get some friendly advice. It is extremely important. And it is not, when you have a larger country, when you study in the United States, then you have spent 3 years studying, then you know the people who will be your advisor, and then sometimes advisor is a good person, but you cannot work together. Yeah. It's, for some reason it is not. And academic career is very, you have to go through the process of initiation. Mm-hmm. And for that you need a good advisor. And what I see in Europe nowadays, there is a system of supporting it. Yeah. So that Erasmus program, possibility to travel, to find a new advisor, and not to die in your small universum, it is important. And so situation where we started our career is completely different than it is now. And what is good with this career, you should know. Without mathematics, I would not meet those people.
That's right.
With some of them I'm friend, and I've met them every 5th, 6th year on some conference. But I'm also able to make a phone call and say, Blaženka, would you join us? Yeah. It is important that we do not care that people will say, oh, she is with Francis Kervan, and Francis Kervan is a star, and her star is maybe not so good as, just... it was... I think this was brave. I know, because this exhibition was in my town, and I had to explain that I do not consider myself as the best Serbian female mathematician.
That's the same what I explained first.
And at the end, I thought, you're right, I'm best female Serbian mathematician.
Maybe you're not the best, but you're the bravest.
I'm the bravest, yes. So I'm the bravest, and so you should know that the academic path is not easy. But I remember what my mother told me when I told her many years ago, maybe it's not the path for female. And she told me, if you start think like that, you will end up with the conclusion, nothing is for female.
That's right.
So I decided to try.
Thank you so much for bringing it back to girls and how to encourage them to enroll in mathematics. And you nicely described the importance of a good mentor or a role model, be it male or female, but somebody who is translating part of their social capital to you. Yeah. Through advice, through connections, and through friendly advice, also, psychotherapeutical advice, like take care of your health or take it easy if you're pushing yourself too hard. So we discussed that for later career stages. But in your personal and professional opinion, what are the good ways to encourage girls to take on, get part in the fields that are traditionally not for girls, as in mathematics? So how to encourage them? Should we change the girls or should we change the mathematics? Or, of course, the answer is something else. But
of course, neither.
Yeah.
The girls are great, mathematics is wonderful, so they're both fine. But there is a problem with mathematics. I think what we should really change is the way mathematics is presented. It's not presented as something which is fun, and beautiful and so on, but as something which is a set of rules that we have to learn and obey and be very strict about. And I think this is a point that really, all the educators should think about, at least in my country. I don't know what it's like in the rest. And then another way of attracting women is, of course, role models. That's important. When I was teaching at the Faculty of Computer Science, there are very, very few girls in Ljubljana studying computer science, and I think maybe at a certain stage half of them came to me for if I would be their advisor. So, a role model, a woman. They like to come and have a woman, a mentor and advisor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree that mathematics is great, but the way how sometimes mathematics is presented, especially at the beginning of a schooling, it's not so great. Mm-hmm. So one of the reasons, probably the main one, I accepted to be the minister several years ago, was that we should change, because this curricular reform should change the curriculum, not just in mathematics, but in general, to be much more open, to give opportunity for personalization, not to be strict, not to be too academic too early in schooling. So I think that it is this open curricula and different approaches, personalized approaches to students. It can benefit for girls and boys, but especially when we talk about the girls in mathematics, because some of these, approaches with these examples or these academic, exercises used in schools are not very, let's say, appealing for the most of students. And if you have still women, actually teachers are usually females in primary schools, and sometimes they are also having this attitude like, okay, boys can do it, but the girls probably aren't. That's a problematic attitude, and sometimes we are expressing that even not consciously, but
without being aware.
We just took it somewhere during our upbringing or earlier in our own lives, and then we can present it in our daily work. So I think that we should work with teachers a lot, how to recognize different needs and different approaches they can use. We can change the curricula, but also advise parents in school, for example, because if you have a talented girl that we can advise to go to study mathematics, then we should talk to the parents. I remember I was in my first 4.5 years after I finished the university. I worked in gymnasia, so with a very talented young people, and then there was one girl. She was really very good in mathematics, and she thought she would be a mathematician, but her parents are much more, for medicine, so it is much more prestigious, wonderful careers and so on. I tried to explain to her and to parents that mathematics can be really prestigious and good and fulfilling, but actually she decided to go to medicine, and she's not very happy right now. And she said, I remember your words at that time, and I really regret not to go and study mathematics, because I felt at that time when I did something in mathematics that I really enjoyed. I have this, I'm proud. I'm creative. That was me. In medicine, she is a very good doctor. She worked, and she still has worked in a good hospital, but she said it's not the way I expected to be when I was in high school and when I tried to find my way. So it is probably I failed at that point, but it's not just me, and it's just one example, but it is a kind of a, advisory role, the school and the mathematicians, but also other teachers and some, career advisors in schools and the university should take. It is for the sake of the girls, but not just girls, but the sake of the society, from the economical point of view, but also from the societal challenges that are in front of us.
Yeah. I don't think you failed her. We need doctors who can think. Okay. Just what we as professionals should do, we should not hide mathematics. You know, you just want to get some project in European Union. They say, "Oh, hide mathematics. Nobody will understand that. Hide it." And when you open computer, it says Intel inside. And that's, in fact, mathematics is inside, or computer science is inside. And we should make it visible. And there are very nice, why it's important? Because parents should not say to their female or male,
Child.
Offsprings. You don't like mathematics, it's okay. It's not. Imagine you don't like Slovenian, you should not read. You should not.
France Persher.
Yeah, you should not. You should not read. You don't like letters. You don't say that to your child. But in mathematics, they will say, and there is very important point, and I know it as a professional. When I say that I'm a mathematician, usually a new person told me, "Oh, I liked mathematics very much. My professor name was name," and or they say, "Oh, I have never liked mathematics. My professor name was." So if you like mathematics, that is because of that teacher, that professor who did not accept to say to you, "Oh, you do not understand, you will never understand that." It's not like that. Mathematics is fun. Mathematics is all around us. You should just be open to that. So if there is, of course, you have to try and you have to fail. And you told me how to encourage female students. I always say, I will give 2 of the students who never failed to 1 who failed at least once. Because if when you do mathematics, it's not, people think that we always have complete theorems, very clear proofs, but mathematics is like poetry. You can make a good poem, but you can make a bad one and improve it. And we make many mistakes in our supposition what we should prove and get. So it's good to have that experience of failure. So that's good. I have failed and I have survived. So this is wrong supposition. We should add something. We should change complete work. We should give up for a year do not think about that topic. So if you are a parent, do not say to your child, "Oh, you should forget about mathematics. It's not important.
I was also bad in mathematics.
I was also bad.
You can allow to be bad.
Yeah. Think about language. Say, "Oh, you don't have to be
to
able
know
to
English,
read. To know
the
Slovenian.
grammar.
Why? There is no need for that. Mathematics is basic, and it is good that we have many good doctors who were very talented, and when you see these pictures, everybody would like to join mathematics and to study mathematics. It's also good if you are in some other subject, in biology, for example, to know quite a lot of mathematics. Because the sciences, or the natural sciences, are, without mathematics, it's extremely difficult.
Yeah. I liked in the interview, in the booklet that you gave, you said that you always liked problem solving, and that for you mathematics is not just a set of formulas, as Neža said, but I can see that all three of you somehow are really engaged in seeing mathematics as a tool for problem solving, which does not give predictable results, and that it is a fun of it and it is a potential of it. And maybe if we start presenting mathematics in this way as something that is inherently part of the world we live in, but it is also a part, it is a tool of, or a toolkit of mechanisms for problem solving, yeah? And then, on the other hand, if we look at the problems, you know, in the world that we live in, there are no social and natural problems that stand apart. You know, global warming is something that is caused by the social factors, the way of life, and is very scientifically how to say, subjugated to certain scientific rules that can be explained in scientific ways. So maybe this is a trick how to switch the image of mathematics, but also to make it more, to change the image of mathematics as something that is more a problem solving rather than, you know, repetition of learned formulas and processes. But also to understand that all problems are very complex, socially related, multidimensional. And always when we say society, then it sounds a bit more female-like, or that it's something that is that has a gender dimension.
Yeah, because we think that caring for others, it's very female-like.
Yeah.
To be very proud of yourself and very stiff, it's more like men-like, but it's not. I think that we are, all of us, we are human beings, and we can actually, we are here to fulfill our potentials. And that's the reason I remember these students of mine, because I think that she is a good doctor, but still I think that whenever I met her, I had a feeling that she didn't, that her potential is not used in a way that she expected. And that's something that we should think about it as well, because we are here to, as well, also to have an impact on society, on other positive impact on other human beings, on solving societal challenges, to be creative, to be also to play as well. And mathematics, it's fun, so it is a like game, it's a mindset, it's problem solving. So I think that there are a lot of different descriptions, not just, you know, following certain algorithm and rule and then find in one way find a solution. That's not mathematics. So I think you can see around that all different ways to find solution and find the paths in mathematics. Mm-hmm. Not just mathematics, but in life. Sorry, Neža.
Never mind, it's okay. Yeah. No, what I wanted to say is that I think that also in your interview and also in mine was this element that when you came to the university, all of a sudden you had a shock because this was not mathematics anymore. This was something completely different. And maybe this is part of the problem. For example, also when you say that you're a mathematician, people would say, hasn't everything been computed already? Like, you know, mathematics is adding and multiplying and so on, and that's it. But it's not, and maybe also this is part of the problem that during the schooling period, elementary and high school, mathematics is not really presented for what it is, but for something else, right? We all had this shock. We came to university and there was this linear algebra.
Yeah, this is a common thing that all three of you mentioned in the interviews, that coming to study at university level, the mathematics was something completely different.
So the girls that were trying to track to study mathematics have something else, you know, under the label mathematics than what it really is in the end. So maybe this is also something that should be considered.
That's right.
Yeah. So maybe we should I think we opened a lot of very, very interesting and important questions about, and there is no an easy solution and conclusion, but rather we should rethink the way we understand the concept of mathematics, mathematical education, the gendered understanding of intelligence, and how we consciously or unconsciously translate certain stereotypes to children. What is the role of parents, role models, mentors? Many important topics. So I'm giving you a chance to add a final thought if you want.
Yeah, if you allow me.
Yes, please.
Yeah, mathematics is a universal language.
That's right.
And we have had discussion which language we will use. We use all of us English, but mathematics as well. I za kraj, dopustite mi da se na mom jeziku zahvalim organizatorima ovoga događaja, Marijeti, Jasni, izvinjavam se, i smetnula sam se u moje ime, izvinjavam se, Neži i Blaženki koji su pristale da učestvuju u ovome. Ja sam doživjela Sloveniju i Ljubljanu kao vrlo prijateljsku sredinu. Bilo mi je veliko zadovoljstvo. Jučerašnji dan sam provela prolazeći ulicama Ljubljane. Hvala vam svima lepo na ovom divnom iskustvu. Biće mi drago da vidim da ova izložba zaživi i biće mi drago da vidim velik broj mladih ljudi koji ili studiraju matematiku ili su spremni da je koriste u svojim disciplinama, počevši od društvenih pa sve do prirodnih koje prihvati. Hvala vam svima, bilo mi je veliko zadovoljstvo. Toliko.
Hvala vam, Dušanka.
Pa da, sad ću ja isto.
Da.
Da ne zaključimo. Dakle, univerzalni jezik je sigurno matematika, dakle, slažem se s Dušankom, to je toliko lijepo da čovjek kada vidi slova može razumjeti riječi, ali kad vidite formulu, onda znate što ona uglavnom znači, što predstavlja, i to je nešto o čemu se možda premalo govori. Znači, to je jedan element, da je nešto univerzalno. Dakle, imate neki univerzalni jezik, a s druge strane, matematika je istovremeno i igra, i zabava, i način razmišljanja. I kao što vidite, mi nismo baba roge.
Valjda nismo, da.
Iako nekad ne misle tako svi o nama, ali dobro. I matematika nije neženstvena. Dakle, često puta i to jer imaju neki stereotip o tome kako izgledaju znanstvenici, pa znanstvenici obično izgledaju gore. To je ono tim. Ako ima nešto što se predstavlja kruće nego znanstvenike, onda su to znanstvenice, a pogotovo matematičarke, jer to je ono kao jako neženstveno. Pa nije baš tako, znači svi mi imamo i svoje privatne živote i svoje profesionalne živote, i ja mislim da danas je ipak lakše nego kada smo mi startale u našim karijerama, ali postoje i puno više mogućnosti. Dakle, puno šira je lepeza mogućnosti danas za djevojke i kad upisuju fakultet ili kada biraju svoju karijeru, nego je to bilo u naše vrijeme, pa iskoristite, pa barem neka jedan segment u tome bude matematika, to će vam sigurno obogatiti život, i hvala svima na strpljenju, nadam se da nismo bile jako dosadne. Ali vi ste organizirali prekrasni događaj ovdje i prekrasnu izložbu, ja ću sad to sve poslije fotografirati, tako da imam za svoju kćerku.
Hvala tudi vam, Neža.
No, še čisto na kratko, jaz se tudi lepo zahvaljujem Marijeti, Jasni, ki ste me pritegnili v ta projekt ženske v matematiki, ki pač sami bo čudovit, da izkušnja in nastajanje te razstave in to dejstvo, da tukaj je, tako da res najlepša hvala.
Hvala vam. Razstava bo odprta do 25. februarja. Tudi na spletni strani so fotografije in zgodbe matematičark dostopne in posebej vabimo učiteljice matematike na osnovni in srednješolski stopnji, da tudi uporabijo to razstavo kot način za razbijanje stereotipov in mogoče slike, ki jo imamo o matematiki in o znanstvenicah. Hvala vsem.
Hvala.